Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this reading vlog to wrap up June. So I think instead of doing a week-long reading vlog and then having 2 days left over, I'm just gonna make one big long vlog because I think that will be easier for me when I go to edit this and try to post and try to catch up in July. So that's what I'm gonna do. So here is what I have left on my TBR, and I'm hoping to somehow get to in the next, 9 days? So to finish my Phase 10 TBR, I need to read Fina, Ways to Make Sunshine, The Song of Achilles, The Curse of the Chocolate Phoenix, Once and Future Geek, and Talons of Power. So I'm partway through Talons of Power and The Curse of the Chocolate Phoenix, and I'm leaning towards DNFing this even though I'm only 28 pages in, so we'll see how that goes. This one should go really quick. I'm waiting to get audiobooks of these. I will read them physically if I have to. I think I have a different way I can get an audiobook of this, but I'm hoping they'll come into the library, so I'm willing to give them a bit more time, so they'll probably be towards the end of the vlog that I read these. This one I would really like to read tomorrow so I can film my thoughts on it and wrap my 5-star prediction vlog up. We'll see if that happens because I'm busy, and then this one should be a very quick read. For my Queer Lit Readathon TBR, I have Fina, The Song of Achilles, Camp Quilt Bag, and Pickled Petunia. So 4 books there. Again, I've explained these. This should be a quick read, and hopefully I can get to Pickled Petunia. For my Camp Seasonathon TBR, I have Talons of Power, which I already mentioned, and I believe Once and Future Geek. I would also have Always the Last to Know, Crowfall, The Blood of Olympus, Witchlings, and Lock Every Door. I'm doing great. Then I have this other stack of books here that I haven't started that are some sort of obligation reads. So I have The Hidden Oracle and The Demigod Diaries, which is the rest of my Percy Jackson read-along that I'm doing on my own. Because I have Blood of Olympus here. See, I'm losing books. I have My Family and Other Ghosts, which is my Buzzwordathon pick. And then I have Ruin, which is my series to continue, and this is the least important priority on my entire TBR. This might get rolled over into July. It wouldn't be the first time I rolled over my series to continue, but I do eventually finish them. Speaking of that, I have Secrets and Shadows, which is my 3rd series to continue. I don't even remember what the 3rd part was at this point. It could be in this mess. I have no idea. I swear, guys, my brain is... And then I'm partway through The Shadow Rising. I have the audiobook out, so I would like to finish this before I lose access to the audiobook and have to request it again. So, we'll see. The only other book that I'm even contemplating reading is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, because of the fact that it's due back to the library. It's a 14-day book, and I don't have any more renewals. So, it would be better if I just read it before the end of June, because I think I would be more stressed out about it being overdue than if I just read it. So that is the insanity that I hope to get to in the next 9 days. I don't have high hopes. Not in the slightest. Because I also have to film my TBR, edit my TBR, upload my TBR, add captions to my TBR, and post my TBR. And keep in mind that if I don't want a punishment, I have 6 books I have to finish. No idea how I'm going to do this. No idea when you're going to see this, because I'm very, very behind. But once the storage unit is taken care of, I will be able to focus a little bit of my spare time more on reading than spending all of my spare time getting sweaty and dirty and gross at the storage unit. So, that being said, if I want any chance of finishing this, I really need to utilize every second of reading time I have. So I'm going to go do that, and I will check back in with you soon to let you know how I'm doing. So it is now July, which means it's time to wrap my June TBR up. I am well aware that I have not checked in this week, but I got my storage unit empty, got my TBR In the last clip, you will have seen our spare bedroom and all of the stuff that's crammed in there. The cats love it. There's tons of places for them to sleep, so I suppose that's a plus. But it legitimately meant I didn't have a lot of spare time, and when I did have spare time, I was reading. Or, you know, filming my TBR game and editing that so I could get that out. And for me, that was more important than sitting down to film, especially considering I was drained, because every time I leave the house it's draining, and I was leaving the house and having to interact with people. My mom's friend currently has people staying with her that lost everything in a fire. So we had a bunch of stuff in our storage unit that we didn't want, and we weren't sure what we were going to do with it because there was nothing wrong with it. And her friend came in and said, well, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. And they basically said that anything that either her, like my mom's friend, her sister, or that family couldn't use, they'd sell in a garage sale. So that got it out of our storage unit. We had also gone through our spare rooms. We had stuff there. So basically, without her help, I don't think we would have ever managed to get everything out of there. I mean, she took some garbage because she has an extra garbage can. So she took some of the garbage that we had, empty boxes, cardboard, all that kind of stuff, to throw away. She helped move my exercise bike and my dresser back down to the house. So really, she was the MVP. And that is legitimately the only thing that made it possible. Also, her sister and her sister's boyfriend love to read. So I was able to get rid of a ton of my extra books that have been sitting around the storage unit that I have been storing there since the pandemic started. Because when it started, I couldn't drop them off at the library and I'd had a load to go. And then I've been slowly doling them out at the little free libraries. But I didn't want to overwhelm the libraries. So it was taking ages. But they love to read, so she was stoked to have all of these free books. So, with that being said, I actually managed to accomplish a lot of reading, and I'm going to try to quickly run you through it because it is hot in my room. I want to turn my fan back on. So, first up, I wanted to mention that I read Ways to Make Sunshine and Once and Future Geek. This is my last book for my 5-star prediction and my spring covers, so I won't be talking about them in this video, but I wanted to let you know that I read them. Then I'm going to mention I read The Curse of the Chocolate Phoenix. I was tempted to DNF this. I only gave it 2.5 stars. This is not my favorite series. It follows twins Oz and Lily and their friend Caden. I think his name is Caden. And they have like a talking cat and a talking rat, and there's magical shenanigans going on. And in this one, there's even some time travel. And I'm not connecting with the series. I don't like the relationship between Lily and Caden. It is very, very annoying. I'm not a huge fan of the talking cat, surprisingly. We meet a new character in the second book who I like, but I don't like how their story arc goes. So, as beautiful as this book is, I will probably be unhauling it and its prequel, the first book in the series, because it's just not a series for me. It doesn't click with me. Maybe it would click with a middle grader. Maybe that's the problem. But for me, it's just a no-go. Then I read My Family and Other Ghosts, and I gave this 3.5 stars. So this follows Ivy and Ash, and the ghost of their grandpa Digby comes to them and basically says, hey, you need to convince your dad to move to the Grave Grange. And that's basically like their ancestral home. It's supposed to be a type of inn or hotel, and it's very, very haunted. So Ivy and Ash get there and have to kind of deal with the ghosts and trying to get this inn up and running, because that is how they're going to, have their livelihood. Their dad is a chef who's going to be working in the kitchen, and kind of they're helping him run this inn. So to me, this is another one. I think it was good. Much better than The Curse of the Chocolate Phoenix. But it's young. So I think it is one that really would work better for a middle grade reader, because I found it to be a bit simple. And that's not a bad thing. Again, I'm not the target audience for this book. So to me, that really isn't an insult. It just didn't hold my attention the way some of the more complex middle grades I've read have. I will absolutely be passing this along to the little ones in my life, because I think I should have one that would enjoy it, and I thought it was written well enough that I would be down to pass it on. I will say I liked getting to see the ghosts and how Ivy and Ash kind of interacted with them and their responses to them, because it was very, very different. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. I didn't hate it, but it's definitely not a new fave. I read Fina, and I gave this book 4.25 stars. And in this one, we're following Ava and Jules, and they work in not an IKEA. It's kind of like an IKEA, but it's not an IKEA. And an elderly patron of the store goes missing, and they find out basically that there are these like time portals that pop up in the store. Ava and Jules have to go through this time portal in the hopes to find the patron that has gone missing, and it turns out to be a lot more dangerous than they anticipated. Also making it more complicated is the fact that they broke up a week ago. I gave this book 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed the time travel aspect and getting to see Ava and Jules try to work together despite the fact that they're both struggling with their breakup in different ways. It is a very short, quick read, but it is the first book in a series, so I will be continuing on with the series because I really did enjoy how the story progressed. I was not expecting the danger they got into and how that kind of played out. I thought it was really, really cool to see the places the portal led to and how that kind of works, and I would like to learn more about that, so we'll see if that comes up in book 2. This was a really enjoyable read, and I'm glad it was brought to my attention due to the Queer Lit Readathon. So we can group these next two together. I read The Blood of Olympus and The Demigod Diaries, and I gave these both 5 stars. This is the 5th book in the Heroes of Olympus series, and this is like book 5.5, so like a companion to it. So this is wrapping up the series, and it was absolutely brilliant. Rick Riordan writes amazing ends to his stories. I loved getting to see our characters' journey come to an end. Given this was a reread, I will say it was really, really fun to see things that I knew were part of, like, the Trials of Apollo series. There were just certain little things that as I was reading, I went, oh, that's foreshadowing. So I loved getting to see that. And it makes me wonder when I read the 2 new Percy Jackson universe books that we're getting this year, because we're getting the Sun and the Star and the Chalice of the Gods, and I'm reading them, I want to say, in October. I'm wondering if, because I've just reread the entire series, or read in the first place, if I will realize as I'm reading that book that he foreshadowed stuff in other books of his. So really, really enjoyed getting to pick up on the little Easter eggs he dropped in the Heroes of Olympus about things that will happen in the Trials of Apollo, or things that will be relevant in the Trials of Apollo. And then with this, it's some short stories. I mean, there's other stuff. There's like, I think like a word search maybe. Let me see if I can find. There's portraits. Yeah, see, there's a word scramble. Like I said, portraits. There's maps, which are specifically tied to the little mini stories, I believe, if memory serves. So I really, really enjoyed getting to read this. I liked the short stories. There's an interview in here, and I laughed really hard. I was so excited for this little mini interview. It made my day. Loved getting to see these little glimpses into little pieces of the greater Percy Jackson universe, because it fills in 3 interesting little time periods, and I quite enjoyed getting to see glimpses of those. So I hope he continues to do more of these in the future, because I find them fascinating. Then, keeping with the kind of mythology theme, I read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I gave this book 4 stars. I was not expecting to like this anywhere near as much as I did. So in this book, we're basically following the myth of Achilles, and we're getting to see Madeline's interpretation of the story. The only thing I knew about Achilles going into this is the version of the myth where he is dipped in the water and it makes him invincible except for his Achilles heel, because you have to have one area of your body that is vulnerable. So it was quite interesting to get to know more about Achilles' story and his myth, and all of the legends surrounding that. I know that I've read another Madeline Miller book and I did enjoy it, which is why I didn't have high hopes for this one. But like I said, I really enjoyed this one once I started reading it. I didn't really want to put it down. It was pretty steady. I wasn't like devouring it, but I also wasn't like sitting there wishing I could be reading something else. It was very close to being a 3.75, but the way it ended brought it up. So really enjoyed this one, and I'm glad that the Queer Lit Readathon once again gave me a kick in the butt to read it. So would definitely consider reading something else from Madeline Miller in the future, because I've liked one, I haven't liked another. So who knows, maybe it was just that one story. I read Secrets and Shadows by Brian Chick, which is the second book in the Secret Zoo series, and I gave this book 3.5 stars. We're following 4 kids who in the first book find out that there is kind of a zoo within the zoo, and there's a lot more to the animals in that part of the zoo than meets the eyes, and they learn a lot of other secrets involving that zoo, and we're basically seeing their next adventure with the Secret Zoo in this one. This isn't my favorite series, but I do enjoy it. I've actually taken out books 3 and 4 for July because I'm hoping I can maybe wrap this up, though I have no idea what I'm going to do about book 6 because my library doesn't have it, and Scrib doesn't have it, and I don't own it, and so I'm going to have to figure out whether it's worth buying or if I want to wait. Maybe I'll see if I can get my mom to have the library request the book for me. Like, she can go in and say, hey, can you buy this book for me? So that other people can finish the series too. So not my favorite series, but it is a cute little middle grade, and I think it's kind of like, what was it called? My Family and Other Ghosts, where I think if I had been a middle grader, I would have enjoyed it more. And then the last book I finished is Talons of Power. So I'm giving this one 4 stars. I really, really love the dragon that we follow in here, but I wasn't as huge a fan of the story. I was expecting this to be a 4.5, which is why I'm saying I wasn't as huge a fan of the story, even though I absolutely adore the dragon we got to follow. So this is a series that follows clans of dragons, and in the first 5 books we have a prophecy that we're following and dragons that we're following that are related to that prophecy. And then in the second 5 books, and this is book 9, so we're on the penultimate book, we're following a different group of dragons with a different prophecy. So it is very, very interesting to see how things have been set up and put in motion for what I'm assuming is the final book in the, like, mini arc. I won't know, I haven't read book 10 yet, but I'm assuming it's going to end this prophecy with book 10, and then I believe there's 15 books in the series, so books 11 through 15 would be a third prophecy. So we will see how that goes. But this one wasn't, like I said, enjoyable, but I wasn't a huge fan of the storyline. The thing that made up for it, though, was being in the head of this dragon who I really, really adore, and very curious to see who is the final dragon that we follow in book 5. That being said, I did read a little bit more. So I started Pickled Petunia. I'm a few chapters in. I didn't get very far into it. I knew I wasn't going to. Pretty quickly within the 10 days, because it's an ebook and I just keep forgetting that I had to read it. I started Camp Quilt Bag one night. I'm 16 pages and I'm only on chapter 3, so I've only gotten a little bit of a feel for it, just enough to kind of understand why Abigail and Kai are headed to the camp. I'm enjoying it so far. Like, I'm intrigued. I just didn't get back around to reading it. And then the other update I have is that I've made some more progress in this giant sucker. I'm on page 532, so about halfway through. I think it's like 52% on the audiobook. This series is crazy. I will never ever be able to explain it, but it's basically about a chosen one, and we see all sorts of different points of view that all have something to do with the chosen one's journey and everything going on, and they're all different kinds of characters, because you have some that can do magic, some that can't, some that are his friends, some he only met along the way, and it just makes for such an incredibly hard concept to explain because there's just so much going on. But basically it's an epic fantasy with a chosen one trope, and we're kind of seeing it play out. And yeah, I am enjoying this series. I feel like everybody I've seen talk about it has no idea how to explain it, but I think epic fantasy, a lot of POVs, so you're getting things from a ton of different perspectives, and a chosen one trope gives you a kind of a gist to see if it's something you might want to look into. Because I think the best thing you can do is just read the descriptions, because they're probably going to do a better job than I will at explaining it, because it's very complex. I'm enjoying this book not as much as I enjoy book 3. So we'll see if this one picks up and hits the levels of book 3. I definitely think I will be continuing on with the series. So far, nothing has happened to make me want to put the series down. So there's a positive there. But I'm hoping to finish this in the very first parts of July, so that I can check this off my list and move on to a lot of my other adult fantasies that I need to read. So that's the end of my June. I think given how I was spending hours and hours and hours every day over at the storage unit, working in the storage unit, and I'm also doing Survey Junkie, trying to make a little extra cash to help out, that between that and the storage unit, it was eating up a lot of my spare time. But the storage unit is done, so I should have some more spare time. So hopefully July is a little bit more calm and I can check in a little more regularly. But that's all for this vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a thumbs up emoji, because I'm finally done with the storage unit. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!